Good evening. Hello, bold and driven family. I'm so happy to be back. And I'm so happy to be here this evening talking to you guys out there in the social media world. I had such an amazing time last week, but I'm worn out. I'm going to tell you the truth. Queen is worn out. But you know what? That's good. It's kind of like exercising. Until you get used to it, your body's sore and you got to toughen up, okay? So let's talk about that. Well, last weekend, as you know, was Essence Fest. And I was excited. I have been preparing for 2 weeks, and I was getting into connecting with my spirit, which we're going to talk about later. So, what that means is I really had to take out all the noise in the environment. That means friends and family and all of the other things, and just kind of focus and prepare and pray and meditate because that is so important when you know that you're going to be around a lot of people in a different environment that is unfamiliar to you. You see that when you're in a different environment, what happens is that you need to put on the full armor of protection. And now that we are just getting really kind of back to this new normal from COVID, you got to also make sure that you're healthy, taking your vitamins, having smoothies. Hey, it's not that we always want to do the right thing, is what we need to do, which is the right thing for you. So let me talk about getting back to the Essence Fest. So I arrive in New Orleans and I'm at this beautiful, brand new, spanking new museum hotel. Ah, I loved it. It was on my TikTok. I love my room with the view. And I knew that I had to get ready for the next day. I knew that it was going to be exciting, but I also knew that I had work to do. And see, when you're working and playing at the same time, it's a balancing act. You have to balance the two. You have to remember that you're there for work and also have some fun too. Because what is good is working if you don't love what you do. And for those out there in the media world, social media world, listening to me right now, if you don't love what you do, you better figure it out, boo. Because what good is we learned from like my dad's generation. He was born in 25. Think about that. They just worked to survive. It wasn't about fun. And if you have watched Fences, Google that. Fences with Viola Davis and Denzel Washington, you would realize that life wasn't really fun for African Americans. It's all about surviving, and not unless you were wealthy. And even the ones that were wealthy who were in the entertainment field, they still had to go through the back door. Lena Horne, all those great people, Duke Ellington, I could go on and on with the list. So even though we might have seen them, not we, but my family, my mother's generation, saw them on TV or whatever, um, it wasn't all fun. It was work. Billie Holiday, all of them. It was work, but they tried to have some fun. But anyway, getting back to Essence Fest. If you didn't know, Essence Fest started in 1995. That's right. It was supposed to be a festival. It was supposed to be a party for our people to celebrate the Essence magazine, which I love, and I love Susan Taylor. She actually came to my high school and commentated for my fashion show. Yes, Queen D was in her first modeling fashion show, and Susan Taylor was the commentator. I was so thrilled. But anyway, that's what Essence Fest started as. And that is how a lot of things start. That is even how this channel, my channel, and what I'm doing start. It starts from this little idea and then it morphs like a seed planted in the ground. And then it morphs into something just beautiful. And if you take care of your seed and you water your plants, you're going to get a nice harvest, whether it's food or whether it's just beauty of blooms of flowers like mine. Yes. Anyway, So I get there and I tried to do this live stream with Bold and Driven, but because of technical difficulties and because of all the rules, let me tell you something. If you were not there, you could not get in there if you were not fully vaccinated, you couldn't get in. If you had a big pocketbook with stuff in it, let me tell you, the rules were strict. And that kind of took away from the amount of crowd, the amount of people, the guests that could have had there, because that is a political issue and it's also a personal issue to be fully vaccinated with this COVID thing. But anyway, I get in there and I'm so excited and I'm walking around and I have my mic and I'm interviewing people and I'm having an awesome time. I met Jordan Sparks. I took pictures with her. She's a beautiful woman. Shout out to Jordan Sparks. I love her. We're talking about someone who has got 2 teen awards, NAACP award, 2 People's Choice Award. I mean, like the list goes on and on. She's just amazing. Shantae, I mean, she's a New Yorker like me, Long Island girl, if you know what I mean, because we got that New York accent. Ashante, she wrote a great book about her life, but she did it for children's books. So, of course, I got one for my niece, Brielle, and I just can't wait to give it to her this weekend. And also Sarah Jakes, TD Jakes' daughter. I mean, she's the modern Christian woman, kind of like myself, because I don't want to be associated with that old time religion, that fire and brimstone. You can't wear lipstick and makeup and can't go to the movie. It's like the list is on and on. It's ridiculous. It's not even God made, it's man made. So I love Sarah Jackson. I love her honesty. I love her authenticness. I love who she is as a person. She's just a beautiful person. And she came on my page and she was talking about how exhausted she was because, she didn't know that she was going to blow up like this, with this book and this book tour she's doing. And she just collapsed. She's like, I'm tired. I was like, girl, if you tired, then I got to still toughen up. You know what I mean? Because I've been doing a summer tour. I've done about at least 5 tours already, and I'm not finished yet. So I kind of can relate to her, but at the same time, nah, she's like, wow. But anyway, I also talked to Roland Martin, who I love. Roland Martin is like this wonderful ball of fire, of passion about politics in the community. And if you are not subscribing to Roland Martin, you need to, because the reason why he started the Black Star Network, Roland, I'm saying that for you, I'm plugging you, is because he let go from CNN, or maybe it was a mutual decision. But let me tell you something. He got tired of CNN telling him what to say, when to say it, and what not to say. And that's not just a black man who's a king. A king don't tolerate that kind of stuff. Sooner or later, that king will walk. It's just that simple. So Roland, I remember the day he started his podcast, it was like, okay, it looked like it was in his room, like I'm doing. And it just morphed and morphed. And now it's like, and I remember the day he said, hey, I'm going to start my own network so I don't have to deal with CNN. And he did it. And now he's got Black Star Network. And guess what? I'm going to remember that because it's new, it's fresh and new. And that's what it's all about, finding opportunities. But anyway, let me get back to this. So Roland Martin, I talked with him. I took pictures with him. I expect to see him at the NAACP Awards, which is in Atlantic City, where I'm going this weekend, and also at NABJ, which means the National Association for Black Journalists, where all the entertainers and anybody in network. I've been there. I've been to these things before. So, but this is a different platform for me because this is the first time that Queen D is actually Queen D. See, before I was going as Alice Clayton, which is my birth name. Alice means truth. D, Darlene, which is my middle name, means beloved. But anyway, so this is going to be different for me because I'm not going just to sit down and eat and kind of be a spectator and sit down and listen. I'm going to network. And we're going to talk about that too, about being bold and driven. But anyway, so I met a lot of great people, and I exchanged business cards. Larry Chambers running for U.S. Senate. All right, Larry. I went to a party I was invited to where I also talked to Tisha Campbell, and her son is really heavily into politics. I love politics. Queen D might have a lot of feminine energy, but Queen D also has a lot of masculine energy because when it comes to politics and fighting for Queen's rights, people's rights, I'm in there. I'm going in there with both fists swinging. I'm like, hey, let's protest. Let's do what we got to do. Let's vote. Let's sign petition. I'm out there because my father was like that. And it's so politics is very strong in my family. I don't believe in just sitting down waiting for other people to make decisions for me when I can participate and change the game. Okay? Remember that. You can change the game. If we Let me tell you something else. There's power in numbers. Remember that. Power in numbers. So I really had a good time in Essence Fest. I walked my butt off. I interviewed people, even a lot of the people that were with kiosks. I want to find out about a kiosk. Let me tell you, Lorraine and Moi means the queen in me, which is my channel on Instagram. It means the queen in me in French. I wanted to say the queen in me, but I wasn't allowed because they said someone else, when I was getting my LLC, was too close in the same name and they didn't want any confusion. So I literally said, God, why you give me this idea and I can't use it? And a voice literally spoke to me because we're going to be talking about spiritual connection and literally spoke to me and said, say it in French. Now it had to come from God because I wouldn't have thought of that. And I Googled it and I said, Google, excuse me, say it in French. And she said, Lorraine et moi. And I was like, ooh, that sounds feminine. That sounds passionate. That sounds sexy. That sounds beautiful. I love it. I lived in Paris. So that'll be in my book, which I said I wasn't going to write, but I changed my mind. But I had a great time in Essence Fest. Essence Fest has really morphed and continued to grow. The last time I was there was in 2019, and it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. That's all I can say. And they were going to take it to another level. There were people of all races there. I met Tyler Perry. Michelle Obama was there. She was awesome at the conference. Ayana fixed my life. You remember her? Yes, I was in the front row for her. Kamala Harris. Who knew she would end up being the vice president? So you just never know who you're going to meet in these different places when you network with people. But I encourage everyone, male or female, king or queen, if you can, go to the next Essence Fest. It is life changing. It is amazing. That's why I'm here right now. And that's where we will start now talking about my topic today, this evening, which is about becoming connected to the Spirit. Now, when you become connected to the Spirit in a social media world, like this environment that we live in, it's kind of challenging, wouldn't you say? Because there was a time, which I can remember, where social media wasn't so prevalent. But even our children, babies, know how to use a cell phone and a computer, a laptop, and now an iPhone. They are so bright. They are the future. They are going to change this world. And it's happening before our eyes because never before in this history has young children, babies at 2 and 3, were so intelligent. God is preparing them. So you don't have to worry. He's got this. But becoming spiritual is something we all need to do. It is so important. And I'm going to tell you why. When I knew that I was going to Essence Fest, had I not been in the right mindset, I would not have been able to pull this off. You see, Queen is, I'm going to say, taking baby steps in a very big entertainment world. I didn't think that I would be in this position. There is a higher power working here. It's working in my life and it's working in your life. It's up to us to turn down the noise, even if you have to take the phone and turn it off for a while and put it on charge. Because when you do that and you get connected back into you, your spirit, it doesn't matter whether you believe in a higher power. Well, in a way it does, but that's my belief. But say, for example, you didn't. But do you believe in you? Do you believe in meditation? Do you believe in peace of mind? The answer is yes. Then this is terribly important. The world is going through a really difficult time. Turmoil after the pandemic has really messed up our minds. And when I say our, I mean the human race. Everyone. There's not a person on God's green earth. It's not a person from whatever country did not fear the inevitable. They did not, they were worried. We all were worried. What are we going to do in 2020? Some of us were worried about our careers, our finances. Well, I'm going to say all of us, really. But also our life. Our mortality was at stake. If you didn't take the time to look and smell the roses and say, hey, I am locked in, locked down, and for the first time I noticed I got grass in my yard. For the first time I'm looking at the birds fly. For the first time I realized I don't have to go to work. For the first time I don't have to jump up out of the bed with an alarm clock. That's what we call getting connected to the spirit. You see, when you get connected to the spirit, you have to be quiet. Because that's the only way you can hear your own self think. That's what meditation and yoga is all about. It's mindfulness, letting your mind flow, the energy flow in a no judgment zone, listening to that inner voice. Who am I? What do I want? Why am I here? Will I live long enough to find out? Yeah, that's getting connected with the spirit, your inner voice. It's you. In this noisy world that we live in, and it's gotten quite crazy, as Queen always said. Because see, we did not have a spiritual base when we were going through this. The churches were closed, the temples were closed, the synagogues were closed. A lot of people were passing away, loved ones. It was horrible. And that interfered with that spiritual connection. So what are we going to do? We got to get back what was taken from us, that spiritual connection. And I'll be right back. This is Queen D of Queen's Court Conversation, and that's my channel that I want you to subscribe to. But also, this is Bold and Driven Entertainment Network production company, and I love this family, and I appreciate them allowing me to have this platform to talk about the things that concern me, that inspire me, that empower me, because I want to share that with you. Because this is a community. It's a community spirit where we get a chance to speak our minds, we get a chance to learn from each other and share. And that's what it's all about. I appreciate Bold and Driven. So let me get back to what I was talking about. So I was talking about getting connected, becoming more spiritual connected, because there are pitfalls when we're not with social media. Because what happened was we lost that. We didn't have anybody to turn to. Excuse me, not really. Think about it. The pastors had shut down too, and they were scared. That kind of made me a little uncomfortable because if I'm scared, or concerned or worried, and my pastors are scared and they're not opening the church doors, what does his followers have? That is why it's so important for us to become spiritually connected with ourselves so we don't have to depend on other people. Yes, it's terribly important, imperative that we do have loved ones and mentors and spiritual guidance from pastors and evangelists and bishops. And they're all on YouTube now. But YouTube, is that the same as going to church? Is that the same as giving a friend a hug? Is that the same as communing with people who are on the same page, like-minded people who are searching and wanting spiritual healing and direction, to be motivated, to be inspired, to be empowered, to leave like, okay, I can do this. It's not the same. And that's the boat we were in. That's the situation we were in. The pitfalls of social media, and I don't mean that we should not, because, hey, we got to stay connected. This is the new world. It's terribly important. But you also have to have a balance. Because if you're on social media all day and you're not interacting with your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your children or your family and friends, sooner or later, you're going to feel lonely, depressed. You're not going to feel good, including our physicians. We even had to see them on laptops, right? And it's better to go to the hospital and better to see your doctor in person so he can look into your eyes and listen to your heart rate and give you an x-ray or an examination. But everything was by social media. So we have to have a balance to strengthen ourselves. Terribly important. I can't emphasize that enough. When Queen D got home, Queen D was like as excited as I was. And let me tell you something. I reached out to Bold and Driven. I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Let me tell you that. But then that night I was like, you know what? I need to rest. I still got some rest to get. But my knee actually is just now healing because it swelled up. Because let me tell you what happened. I went to the concert. I went to the Superdome to see Janet Jackson, Patti LaBelle, and I was shocked, because Tisha Campbell came out and she was talking. I'm like, hey, I was just talking to like 4 hours ago. Where is she getting her B12 energy from? Because I'm tired. They are such pros. They're so phenomenal. They're so amazing. But I saw a lot of great people at this concert, and I did not leave until probably 2 o'clock in the morning. But from all the walking for those 3 days and climbing steps and just doing so much, I didn't realize that when I got back, I went to the gym because I ate too much. I drank too much. And I didn't drink liquor. I was just drinking my Prosecco. But the point is, it wasn't my normal routine. And I went to the gym and I said, I'm going to pound it out. And I worked out for 3 hours and my knee was like, uh-uh-uh. Let's do this slowly, Queen. You just got back from Essence Fest and you did not sleep until 4 in the morning and you was up and running again. And my body was like, okay. So now I'm soaking my knee in Epsom salt and everything because it's swelled up. Because I got an injury because I used to run. I used to run marathons and exercise like crazy. I was like really obsessed with exercise back in the day. But I love it. It makes me feel so good. But I have to do it in moderation. Again, it's about balance. Balance. We have to balance our technology with our soul, with our spirit. That's how you get good energy. So, recognizing that there's a higher power, higher than you, you don't control this like you think. Unless if that was the case, I wouldn't have a swollen knee. Okay. I'm only human and so are you. But if you recognize there's a higher power that controls this universe, it's going to change everything for you. If you seek opportunities to put love into your family, to your friends, your church, whatever it is you do, if you serve, if you seek out those things, it makes you more lovable. So you become humble because you know there's a higher power. And you become more lovable because you seek out to love others, to share. That's so important. But what's even more important, set aside time for yourself. And when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. Because everything that is given to me from that higher power is saying, this is for you too, Queen D. You see, Queen D is an A-type personality. I will run, if I was a car, I would drive until the wheels fall off. The reason why I have a knee injury today is because I used to run marathons, and instead of training the correct way, I would overdo it, and I ended up in a cast for almost a year on crutches. I begged for surgery, and they said, "No, you're an athlete." I bet you didn't know Queen D used to be an athlete, huh? So we're going to try to save your knee, but you're going to have to listen to us, and you're going to have to be obedient and patient. I was crying like a big baby. I really was. So I was in this cast for 6 weeks, no, 6 months. They would take it off for me to do water therapy 3 times. My leg was the size of my arm. It was limp. I cried like a baby. And a man looked at me and said, that was their patient, you're going to be all right. Just do what you got to do. So I would have to put that cast back on and use crutches until it was strong enough. But when they took the cast off, my leg looked like my arm, and I had to rebuild every muscle to make it equal to the other leg. To this day, it's not right there because ever so often I have a setback like now. And what that does, that makes me humble because I know if I don't do what's right for my body, for my mind, for my spirit, I'm going to suffer the consequences. And it ain't going to be good. So set aside some time for yourself. That's not a suggestion, it's a warning. Because Alice means truth, and that is my birth name. So I'm telling you the truth. And that goes with everything you do. Do it in moderation. Set aside time for yourself to get connected with the spirit, to take care of your health and your mind, your body, your soul, peace of mind. I didn't do that when I came home. I did the laundry for 4 hours because it was piled up because my mother's disabled in a wheelchair. I had my sister here. I had to cook and clean and get things back in order. I went food shop. I did everything except rest. I even went to the gym for 3 hours, I told you. I know better. So now I don't have a choice. So I'm suggesting to you become connected to your spirit and set aside time for reflection because that's what I had to do. Some reflection, some contemplation, spiritually. Because when you do that, it makes you stronger. How am I going to be strong if I'm depressed because I can't walk? How am I going to be strong if I can't take care of my business? How am I going to be strong in the mind, in the body, and the spirit if I can't take care of my mom and my children? Well, I do have one child. The other two, they're gone. The point I'm trying to make, let this resonate in your spirit because it's hard to rehabilitate, to rebuild. Set aside time. Well, next, what I want to talk about is becoming more accepting of others. This is so important. In the world that we live in today, it's not about whether you like Gay Pride Month, transsexuals or genders or men or women. It doesn't matter what it is. You got to learn to accept others so that you can be accepted. You can't pass judgment on others like you are a higher power when you got nothing. You're not a higher power, and neither am I. So I don't have the right to judge others. I have my opinion, yes. You have a right to your opinion. And you can do that by voting and protesting if you feel like it. But you don't have the right to treat others bad and pass judgment on them. That you don't have the right to, especially when you want grace and mercy. And we all need some of that. Next, I want to talk about mistakes. Have you made any? Are you perfect? I know I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. So when we accept the fact that we are not perfect and that we got some crap in the closet, some skeletons that we don't want nobody to know about. Because I'm going to tell you, Queen D is taking some of this stuff to the grave. Only me and Jesus know about it. It ain't for you to know. It ain't none of your business, okay? So people don't have the right to tell you about your business. You have a right to keep some things to yourself. I always say to my sons, listen, if you tell everybody about your business, you won't have no business. It's like stripping yourself naked and you're walking down the street butt naked, but you don't know nothing about them because they ain't telling you everything. So we all make mistakes. And the only thing I can say to you is own up to it and be responsible. Don't sit there and lie and pretend to yourself that you didn't do nothing wrong. You know, we got a lot of hypocrites out there that pretend they never had an abortion, but they're the ones that's out there right now protesting for this Roe versus Wade thing. And they're the ones that saying, no, 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 you can't do this the right way. And they had abortions. They just ain't telling you about it. Okay. And perhaps they feel guilty. And perhaps they want to make amends. And perhaps they want to do the right thing. And that's their choice. It's all about going to the polls. Okay, so be responsible. Own up to your mistakes, because we all know. Let's talk about forgiveness. Are there some people who hurt you that you just haven't forgiven? I know Queen D has quite a few people that she had to forgive, and that was difficult. And I'm going to tell you something, I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. Queen was engaged for 4 years, almost five. That's going to be in my book. And I'm going to tell you, I did everything wifey should do. But the one thing I shouldn't have did, and I'm going to have a discussion about this to the queens out there, is pretended to be a wife when I wasn't. As long as you just haven't, we're going to get married, impossible engagement ring, but you haven't walked down the aisle, you're not a wife. Don't play wifey for too many years and never get to the altar. That's advice from Queen D. So Queen D had to do some forgiveness there. Yeah, because it was painful, but it was a lesson learned. It, because Queen D was in love and hoping for the best. After all, we both were in church and we did all the things that we were supposed to do. But even the devil knows the Bible better than you. All the scriptures by heart. So be aware of that. But anyway, forgiveness. Do you have some jealous siblings? Frenemies, perhaps? Yeah. You want to, are they gaslighting you? Narcissism? These things hurt. Are they excluding you out of parties and phone calls? That hurts. Even if it comes from family and relatives or friends. Oh, ex boyfriends or husbands, whatever. The point is this: forgiveness is for you. It helps you heal spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and it strengthens you to be strong. And the one thing great about mistakes, if you're smart, you learn from them so you don't make them again. And I will put this disclaimer in for people who were innocent to this, like I was. A gift can come wrapped beautiful. In the box, when you open it, it's empty. Meaning, investigate. Make sure that the person is not their representative. Yeah, they went to church with you. They did the baptism with you. They did everything. But at the end of the day, they were still ghosting you on the weekends. They were still maybe slipping out, having affairs, whatever. So the only mistake that you could have made in this is that you saw the red flags and you stayed longer than you should have. That's still a mistake. Forgive yourself, forgive them, move on, and become more understanding with yourself. Treat yourself good. Love yourself. Self-care is so important for healing. Don't beat yourself up, male or female, because this happens to men too, you know. Let me tell you, there's a lot of beautiful queens out there that is professional when it comes to getting a man or getting what they want. I was going to attend a conference. I'm going to do a sidebar right now. And it was all about this girl this woman, 34 from Philadelphia, who was teaching everyone. I'm no longer on the pole. I'm not on welfare. I'm going to show you how to get a rich man. That's right. So can you imagine those hundreds of women who paid 250 or whatever? I was going to go to that conference, but I was going because I wanted to interview her. But then I thought, I don't know if I can sit through this. So I'm just going to call her people, to talk to my people, and I'm going to interview her personally so I can get her take on this. Because that's what I'm saying out there, guys. Kings, you get hurt too. So I want to make it fair. Be aware of these things. I have sons, so I got to protect my sons. Okay, so I have to speak to the kings. So moving right along, let's talk about negative energy. You know what I'm talking about. Those people who chronically complain about life. Those people who watch CNN, Fox News, and every other channel, and all they do is spew how horrible this world is. Now, I hope you know that wasn't for your benefit as much as it was for theirs because they're in competition with the networks. So don't think it was all for you. Okay. You need, once you get your information, shut it down because you need people who inspire, encourage, empower, motivate you. You don't need to hear someone talk about how miserable everything is every single day. How are you going to live in that? All you're going to do is wallow in self-pity. I'm going to say this to the world out there who's listening. If you are here now after the pandemic, you got stuff to do. You're here for a reason. If you survived COVID, while everybody else was dying and dropping like flies around you, and you're still here, even for those who weren't vaccinated, it's because there's a higher power that's letting you know you got stuff to do. So you got purpose. Get busy. The hourglass with the fan out is still running for you. You got purpose. And you got to figure it out because when there's a positive, there's also a negative. So be around positive people. Let me tell you, I'll be honest because this is transparency. My mother with a wheelchair. So yeah, she's 86 and she's unhappy. My father died. Okay. But she watches CNN, Fox News, and NBC and all day. And she stays depressed all day. That's not healthy for her. I try to encourage her. I try to take her out. I try everything. She's still in the healing phase, and it may be forever. I don't know. Because they were together for a long time. My dad and her were married a very long time. We're talking about over 50 years. So, yes, she has setbacks, and I understand. My job is to still encourage her because she's still here. Her life matters. She still has stuff to do. She used to be a nurse. She still has stuff to do. So, moving on, be with positive people, positive energy, because your family and your frenemies, they're not going to help. Also, for those who are in the entertainment field, in media, like I have embarked on, you're going to have to change the game. I just got a aha moment today, literally today. You see, because I had been thinking about this becoming more connected spiritually for a while, because when you're running and doing, sometimes you forget to take the time to sit and listen to the voice. And I had an aha moment with people I know, people I love, family and friends and frenemies, who let me know through their actions and behaviors that they're not really in agreement with me and aligning up with my spirit. So, with this, what does that mean for Queen D? Queen D has to find people who are like minded. And if you're in this business, you got to find people that you can trust that are like minded because everybody is not on your side. Understand that. And that can be painful and hurtful. It is what it is. Let's take, and that what leads up to what I'm talking about, taking stock in your thoughts and your behavior. When we do this, this promotes growth. I'm going through a growing stage right now. I'm going to the next level of growth. What that means is I have to accept that everybody is not in Queen D's corner. Everybody doesn't believe in Queen D's vision. Everybody's not going to be in my Okay, you can do that. That's why it's so important to be your number one supporter of you. The best version of who you are starts with you. So take stock of your thoughts and your behaviors and your feelings and analyze why you feel like you feel. Because there is concrete evidence and red flags that will literally tell you why you feel like you feel. And you may not be happy with it. So take stock. And last but not least, let's talk about how you can bless the world. How do we do that? This world is in turmoil. This world, to some people, suck, but they can't go to Mars, can they? Okay? But you can create a world in your own spiritual space. When you become connected, you can decide whether you are going to live in this world and make yourself happy and be successful and be the best version of who you are, because that is your power. Yeah. When you bless the world, what I mean by that is bless your food that you eat, bless your family, your friends, people that your loved ones that you care about that are in your corner. That makes you feel good. That makes you beautiful. And I'm not talking about exterior. I'm talking about interior. That is why I really wanted to talk about this evening and hone in on these things, because if you take the time with every interaction that you do on a daily basis, that is your power. Mhm. That is when you become a conduit for love. You have to love yourself first. You have to love yourself and treat you. If you've ever had children, you know how it is when you have a newborn and you're making sure they're fed and clothed and you comfort them and you kiss them and you just love the way they smell. For those who love babies like me, then you got to do that to you too. You got to love yourself. See, a lot of people use that word love yourself and self care as a cliche. No, this is not a cliche. When I soak in the tub and I massage my body with olive oil and scented oils and sometimes Epsom salt. I'll talk about that one day, what Epsom salt means. And I got my candles and I got my Prosecco and I drink out of my crystal. I'm loving on me. I'm loving on me because it is a very tough world out there. So you got to be strong. You got to be strong. And here goes my disclaimer. I always got to put this in there. If you're not feeling well emotionally, physically, psychologically, then you need to get professional help and spiritual help as well. Why is that important? So many years, Black folk, especially men, didn't want to accept the fact that we need mental health as well. We need to feel loved. We have been through a journey since slavery. There's a lot of stuff to unpack in us, in our heritage, in our families. My father is only like, I think, one generation from slavery, from grandpa. Okay, my father was born 1925. So that means my grandfather was born 1800s. Hmm. And my grandfather was white, half white. You know what that means. The bottom line is it's okay to say I'm hurting. It's okay to take care of you. Self care starts with you. Because when you do self care, you are becoming spiritually connected with who you are. And for those out in the dating world, make sure that you are spiritually connected with someone who gets you. Saying, Queens, if a man is saying you're beautiful, you need to really listen to that. That's not enough. Beautiful could mean a whole lot of things to him. And it might be a different definition for you. Flattery can only get you so far. So understand you need to be with like minded, spiritually connected people. And that's all I wanted to say this evening. Let me tell you, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for listening in. I appreciate you. This is Bold and Driven for us, those who are ambitious, those who are fearless, those who want to be connected with like mindedness, or just want to hear what I got to say. But you know what? It's all good. I love you all. Thank you. This is Queen D, and you can subscribe to my channel, Queen Court's Conversation, as well, you know, and I'll have all that information for you. Thank you again, and good night.